So SkineeRino branding, our branding was so important to us because, quite simply, your branding is like a fingerprint. And I think it was Seth Godin that said the best definition of a brand I've ever heard, which is a promise delivered, or your promise delivered. So when you deliver on everything that your marketing says, right? And that does start right the way back with colours, the psychology of the colours, the font that you use, and whether it's old style font with the wingtips or not and stuff. So whether it's sans serif or whatever, all these different terminology that people will get used to the more we use it with them, myself included. But it's like the even down to the fact we've got the ends the wrong way around. That demonstrates the punk element. All right, there's little white flecks in the black ink or the charcoal ink of the writing. And that's the stamp. It's like the stamp effect. Well, Rhino's stamp. So there's these tiny little subtleties throughout the brand that we did a lot of research on rhinos and unicorns and punk, and all of those three things just culminate together. And then we had to sit down and discuss with designers what this looks like. And there's a description that I'll give that is kind of SkineeRino in a nutshell. I sat down with the designer and I said, I want to create a business, and we want to create a business that has a culture of people never want to leave, but they never have to be there because they can be anywhere, right? And I'm a 45-year-old guy that wears Gap chinos and Daps, so what do I know about today? What am I going to know about the kids in 20 years? Let's be honest. So we need to grow this business with a culture that is on point and continues to be on point, because it needs to attract the talent pool of the future. They're all growing up way more digital than we are right now, right? The likes of email, dead in 5 years, right? And it'll be dead in 5 to 10 years tops, because we're going so onto the instant messaging platforms, and all of the social platforms are creating business tools now for us to use. So email would just die, like memos used to be on notice boards, they died. But when we said that in the day, no one believed it. So I promise you, there's massive shifts coming, and your brand has every single one of those is a touch point. And what we want to feel is that there's consistency. What we want to feel is that you know what you're doing. And that just permeates every single part, every touch. So when you have an instant message, when you have a chatbot, is it your tone of voice, or are you going to allow it to be the robot? All right, are you going to pretend it to be a human being, or are you going to admit that it's a robot until the humans get here? You can really have fun with your marketing now and your branding, but it really starts with you getting under the DNA of what's your vision? What are your values? What do you stand for? What do you not stand for? What makes you different in the marketplace? And then you start looking at, well, why would people pay for that? What are you worth? Then you start looking at pricing. Then you start looking at the kind of cash flow model. And so everything comes from really nailing down who you are, what you're about, and then how do you translate that? Colors, fonts, images, the works.
And just pulling that through back into the SkineeRino branding is that we really wanted to create something that just stood out.
Yeah.
It was just so different and just memorable. And that's working for us at the moment.
Yeah.
People are loving Skinny is his name.
It gets people talking. It's a talking point. Right? When people see that, and it's kind of like, if you think about it in psychology, there's a term called pattern interrupt, and it's about interrupting the patterns of thinking that people are going on. So if you're thinking about working with a social media, there is already a plethora of social media gurus. Man, they don't exist. Social media is too new to be a guru in anything, right? It's in its infancy, so don't believe that bullshit. So when you talk about, I've lost my train of thought.
You are talking a lot.